14 years, and they canned me with one email. No phone call, no warning, no name. Just a cold-ass subject line. Notice of termination, effective immediately. Not even a thank you or we appreciate your service. Just, your services are no longer required. That was it. My name's Sam Knox. I'm 57 years old, living in a one-bedroom apartment on the east side of Denver. And that morning, I sat on a second-hand couch that smelled like someone else's regrets, still wearing yesterday's shirt, clicking through job boards like a ghost. My coffee was cold. My left shoulder was locked up so bad, I couldn't even lift my arm without wincing. I kept refreshing the inbox like it owed me an apology. Nothing came. Gridspan Systems had been my entire life. I built their load-balancing architecture from scratch when they were running out of a warehouse in Boulder. 70-hour weeks, skipped every Thanksgiving, watched my marriage fall apart from my office window. I didn't just build systems. I was the system. Quick note, before we go further, tell me where you're watching from. What city or country are you in right now? I scrolled past job listings that wanted rockstar engineers, full-stack ninjas, team players with startup hustle. Most of them were looking for 22-year-olds who'd code for pizza and stock options. I was a 57-year-old man with high blood pressure and a frozen shoulder. What the hell was I supposed to do with that? Every listing felt like a slap in the face. Not one of them wanted experience. They wanted energy, blind loyalty, and people who hadn't been burned yet. My phone buzzed with a push notification from one of the tech blogs. I almost ignored it until I saw the headline, Titan IQ merger with Gridspan collapses amid IP dispute. My stomach flipped. I clicked the article, scrolled, scanned, reread. They didn't say much, just unresolved intellectual property disputes and breakdown and final due diligence. But something about that phrase IP dispute made my chest tighten. I knew what they were selling. It was my architecture, my algorithms, my work. I built the very backbone they were trying to cash in on. And now the deal was dead. I stared at the screen, fists clenched, heart pounding. Something was wrong, something big, and I had a sick feeling I wasn't just collateral damage. I was the reason the whole damn thing fell apart. I didn't sleep. I just sat there, replaying the headline in my head until the sun started leaking through the blinds. Around 7, I heard something slide under the front door. At first, I thought it was just another piece of junk mail, but then I saw the red stamp, Certified Legal Notice. My gut clenched. It wasn't from Gridspan. It was from Titan IQ, the company that was supposed to buy them out. The envelope was thick, heavy. The return address said Callahan, Ruiz, and Pryor, LLP. I tore it open right there on the floor. Inside was a letter, real paper, not some digital NDA garbage. I scanned it fast, then slower the second time, my brain catching on one line like a nail. In regard to U.S. patent number 11,549,220, Dynamic Load Management Protocol. Listing, Mr. Samuel D. Knox as sole inventor. My mouth went dry. I'd never filed a patent in my life. What the hell were they talking about? I flipped to the next page, legal language, boilerplate contract language, and then it hit again. Mr. Knox's intellectual property. I blinked at my own name. Then something clicked. Larry, years ago, maybe 8. He handed me a stack of papers in his corner office and said, just in case things get stupid. I didn't ask questions. I was drowning in deadlines, so I signed the damn thing and forgot about it. Now my hands were shaking as I opened my laptop. I pulled up the USPTO site, typed in the patent number, and held my breath. There it was, my name, my address, my code. No mention of Gridspan anywhere. I reread the line that said sole inventor about 5 times. Larry had filed it in my name, quietly, legally, completely separate from the company, and Gridspan, they'd either missed it, ignored it, or thought I was too stupid to ever realize it mattered. My code was the heart of their system, the one they'd promised Titan IQ during the merger talks. If that patent was outside their ownership, then they had nothing to sell. That was why the merger fell apart. Suddenly, everything made sense. The timing. The way they let me go. No explanation, no meeting, not even a name. I wasn't just some burned-out old engineer getting cut loose. I was a liability. Too bad Titan IQ saw me first. I stood up too fast and had to grip the wall. My knees weren't ready. My brain was racing ahead of my body. I looked back at the letter, the legal stamp, the lines that confirmed what I already knew, but still couldn't believe. Larry must have known this day would come. He'd always been 3 steps ahead. Paranoid maybe, but smart enough to know who he was working with, and now I saw it clear. The deal didn't just fall apart because of me. It collapsed around me. They wanted me gone so they could slide that patent into the deal like it was theirs. They underestimated just one thing. I still existed. I still had Larry's number, buried deep in a Gmail label I hadn't touched in years. Old contacts. Like he was just a relic, not a lifeline. I didn't even know if it still worked. But I hit call anyway. He picked up on the 3rd ring. Took him long enough, he said, like I was late to my own party. You knew? I asked. I planned it, he said. Calm, flat. Like this was just another system he'd architected. He told me the patent wasn't some happy accident. It was a firewall. His word, not mine. A legal tripwire buried in my name, wrapped in NDAS and quiet filings. Back when the exec team started sniffing around for buyout deals, Larry saw it coming. Those clowns wanted to turn Gridspan into a vending machine for VC money, he said. I wasn't going to let them sell your code with my signature on it. But you put my name on the thing, I said. Why me? Because you were the only one in that building who gave a damn about building it right. And because they'd never see you coming, I leaned against the fridge and let that sink in. He gave me a name, Ruth Daly, attorney based in Chicago. She makes hedge fund lawyers cry, Larry said. Send her everything. Trust me, I hung up and did exactly that. Patent PDFs, the letter from Titan IQ, screenshots of the Gridspan email, even a copy of my original codebase buried in a thumb drive. She called back in 10 minutes. Mr. Knox, she said, sharp and efficient. You're sitting on the key to their platform. You hold the kill switch. I stood there blinking like she'd spoken a different language. Kill switch? Yes, without your code, their back-end collapses. That patent is not just a piece of paper, it's the engine. They've built their entire infrastructure around it. And Gridspan doesn't own it. You do. I swallowed hard. They fired me like I was trash. They were hoping you'd roll over and hand it back without a fight. They're trying to scare you, pressure you, make you feel like you don't belong in the room. And do I asked. You are the room, she said, and Titan IQ knows it. She'd already reached out to their legal team. They weren't interested in a lawsuit. They wanted a meeting. In person. With you. They want to talk directly, she said. Because now they know Gridspan tried to sell them something they didn't own. I felt it in my chest then. Rage, relief, vindication. Like a train finally switching tracks. Don't respond to Gridspan. Don't sign anything. Don't talk to them. Forward everything to me. I'll handle it. What are we aiming for? I asked. That depends. You want to be paid off, or you want a seat at the damn table? I looked around my apartment. Cracked drywall, busted blinds, an old laptop duct taped at the hinge. 14 years gone in one email. Burned my life to the ground for those people. I want the table, I said. Good, she said. Then let's flip it. 2 days later, Gridspan sent a PDF labeled reacquisition offer. 50 grand. That was it. No royalties, no job. Just a weak handshake and a bullshit press release calling me their honorary architect. Like I was some dead guy they wanted to pin a medal on. I forwarded it to Ruth without a single word. She called me laughing. I've seen better offers in divorce settlements, she said. They still think you're desperate. I wasn't. Titan IQ didn't want Gridspan anymore. They wanted my patent. Ruth handled the back and forth, but the deal was moving fast. She set up a meeting in Chicago with their top legal and architecture leads, face to face, real numbers on the table. The night before I flew out, my phone buzzed. Denver area code. I picked up, already suspicious. Hey, Sam, a familiar voice said. It's Jordan. From the old team. He sounded nervous, like someone had a gun to his head. Probably did, figuratively anyway. Mason wants to smooth things over, he said. He asked me to call. Said maybe you two could meet, privately. No lawyers? I laughed into the receiver. Tell Mason to talk to my lawyer. That's the only smoothing he's gonna get. There was a pause, like Jordan was trying to decide if he should hang up or keep talking. "Hey," I added, "don't let them toss you out like they did me." "You're better than that place." Jordan didn't answer, just said, "Good luck," and hung up. I landed in Chicago the next morning, business casual, fresh shave, folder of documents in hand. Ruth met me outside the office tower, midtown, sleek, all glass and brushed metal. "You ready to show 'em what they tried to throw away?" she asked. "Born ready." The conference room was nothing but tension and too much light. Table that could seat 20. Chrome pitchers of water, everyone seated but one, Mason Caldwell. He walked in late, wearing a tailored blue suit that probably cost more than my old car. He saw me and gave a little nod like we were about to catch up over drinks. I didn't nod back. His forehead was shiny with sweat. He sat across from me, hands folded like a preacher, trying to look calm. "We were surprised to hear from Titan IQ," he said. "I think this situation's gotten unnecessarily adversarial." I didn't say a word. Ruth didn't either. He cleared his throat. "Look, Sam, we all know you did great work. That's why we'd like to bring you back in a consulting capacity. Temporary, of course. Retroactive credit on the project, and maybe a speaking slot at next quarter's summit." He slid a cheap folder across the table. I didn't touch it. Instead, I pulled out the licensing draft from Titan IQ, slid it toward him, slow and steady. "You're not in the deal," I said. "That's what erasure gets you." He blinked fast, glanced at the page, and turned pale. "You're licensing it directly?" he said. "To Titan IQ, not to you, not to Gridspan. That patent's mine. You tossed me out like a box of old cables and now you want a handout?" I looked him dead in the eye. "Your leverage walked out the door the day you fired me." He tried to recover. "Let's not burn bridges." "No," Ruth cut in. "You burned it. We're just lighting the match under what's left." The room went quiet. No one reached for the water. No one said a word. Ruth stood up. I followed. We left the folder sitting open in front of him, one signature away from making Gridspan irrelevant. The elevator ride down was quiet until Ruth said, "You just took their golden goose and turned it into your bargaining chip. Feels like they shouldn't have pissed off the goose." A week later, the ink was dry. Titan IQ licensed the patent and handed me a job offer on the spot. Director of Systems Architecture, same title Mason used to flash around like a damn badge. But this time, it meant something. This time, it was mine. Ruth negotiated the deal like she had blood in it. Signing bonus wired in full, no funny business. That money hit my account, and the first thing I did was kill my mortgage. Then I paid off my ex-wife's legal fees, clean slate there too. Last transfer went to my daughter's school, final semester paid in full. That check? It was revenge and redemption in one wire transfer. Meanwhile, Gridspan's stock started bleeding. First it was a slow leak, then the headlines started popping up. Merger collapse due to IP conflict. Sources say Key Tech was not legally owned. Titan IQ walks, investors panic. Wall Street hates uncertainty. Gridspan had built their value on vapor. Once the market realized the patent wasn't theirs to sell, it unraveled fast. I didn't have to say a word. The truth did the talking. 3 days after the deal closed, I got a voicemail from Mason. 1 full minute of groveling, no subject line. Just silence for 2 seconds, then his voice. "Sam, look, I know things got messy. I just wanted to say..." I stopped it right there. Didn't even finish. Just forwarded the file to Larry with one word, checkmate. He replied 10 seconds later with a GIF of a dumpster fire rolling down a hill. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my phone. That night, I cracked a beer and sat on the small balcony of my new place, watching planes crawl through the sky over Chicago. Cold wind, real view, no half-broken mini blinds, no stale microwave dinners. I had steak in the fridge and a team call at 9 a.m. This was different. At Titan IQ, I wasn't just some gray hair they threw in for compliance optics. People listened when I talked. They took notes. They asked questions. Not because they had to, but because they knew I'd built something that worked. One of the senior engineers told me, "We've been trying to reverse engineer your system for months." Couldn't figure out how the load balancer kept uptime during surge cycles, I told him. Because I wasn't optimizing for investors. I was optimizing for reality. He grinned like I'd just dropped a TED Talk. I kept thinking about how Mason used to make me justify every decision like it was costing him personally. Every variable name, every server instance. Like trust was some luxury he couldn't afford. Now, my word was the standard. Larry and I kept in touch. Weekly calls turned into strategy sessions. He didn't want back in, but he sure as hell liked watching from the sideline. "This is what it should have been, man," he told me one night. "You were always the engine. You just needed a steering wheel." I wasn't angry anymore, just focused. Gridspan tried to cut me out of my own legacy, and I turned around and monetized it without them. They taught me exactly one thing: how not to build a company. Now I was building one that wouldn't forget the people who made it run. My new place was quiet, not the kind of quiet that feels lonely, the kind that feels clean. You open the door, and nothing's broken. No weird smells, no peeling carpet. Just a decent view of Lake Michigan and a fridge that actually made ice. That first night, I stood at the window holding a glass of bourbon, watching the lights roll across the water. It didn't feel like I'd made it. It felt like I'd finally come up for air. The office was up on the 24th floor of a building that didn't pretend to be cool. No ping pong tables, no cold brew taps. Just glass, steel, and people who knew what the hell they were doing. My name was on the door. Director Samuel Knox, black letters, clean font. Nothing flashy. But every time I walked past it, I smiled, and people knocked. Even when the door was open, they knocked. That never happened at Gridspan. There, it was like my desk came with a "do not disturb unless you need someone to blame" sign. One morning, I opened the drawer on the right side of my desk, looking for a pen. Instead, I found it. An old team photo from Gridspan. Someone must have slid it in with my onboarding folder, thinking it belonged with my personal effects. There we all were, probably 2012, back when we were still pretending that place was a rocket ship instead of a coffin. I was in the back, hair thinner, eyes dead. The smile wasn't real. I could see it now. I looked like a guy doing the math on his next deadline. Larry stood front and center, badge clipped to his belt, arms crossed, like he already knew the whole house of cards was about to go up in flames. I almost threw it away, but I didn't. I slid it back into the drawer, top left this time. Not as a trophy, not as a grudge, as proof. I lived through it. Gridspan's name barely came up anymore. Every couple weeks, someone would forward me a headline: "Legacy system migration delays," or "Client fallout continues at former tech giant." Their platform was getting picked apart, piece by piece, like a wreck in dry dock. Mason, probably off pitching some new product he didn't build, selling someone else's code wrapped in buzzwords and ego. Let him. I wasn't watching. I was building. This time, smarter. This time, I owned the damn bricks. People asked me how it felt, getting fired, getting screwed, getting back up. I always said the same thing. They forgot who wrote the blueprint. You can't erase someone who architected the ground you stand on. Every morning, I walked into my office at Titan IQ with a real cup of coffee in my hand. Beans ground that morning, not whatever freeze-dried mud we used to gulp between outages at Gridspan. The view out my window showed the skyline, not a row of overworked engineers packed into a cubicle graveyard. It reminded me every day that I'd climbed out of that mess. I wasn't chasing investor money anymore. I wasn't living in PowerPoint slides or whispering warnings no one wanted to hear. I was setting the damn pace now. My daughter dropped by sometimes, just to say hi or grab lunch. She'd walk in, look around, smile, and say, "You seem different." She wasn't wrong. I didn't come home wired tight anymore. Didn't throw my phone on the counter or snap at the dog. I came home proud, not because of the job, but because I knew what it took to get here, what I fought through. Larry and I still talked every week. He said he was retired, but I knew better. The guy still read tech blogs like they were gospel and sent me code snippets like he was trying to stay sharp. He earned his break. I still owed him that steak dinner, and yeah, I was gonna pay. A couple days ago, I got another email from Mason. Didn't even open it. Deleted it on sight. He had his shot. He used it to throw people like me out the door without a second thought. Now he was on the outside, looking in. That door wasn't opening again. The code I wrote, the one they tried to bury, was still running under half the cloud services in the Midwest. Hospitals, banks, schools, systems. People depend on every hour. And now, for the first time, it carried my name. Not grid spans, not Masons, mine. I didn't need headlines or applause. I didn't need to be the loudest guy in the room. All I needed was a clean system, a sharp team, and the freedom to build the right way. You don't forget the grind. It stays in your bones, in the way you double-check things without realizing, in the way your eyes catch fire when someone tries to cut corners. But you don't live there forever. I got pushed out, erased, cornered, and I didn't fold. I fought back, and I won. That's enough for me.